my Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto, like city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1368 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery, communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committee means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Advantaged Investor podcast from Raymond James Canada. Valuable perspective for Canadian investors who want to remain knowledgeable, informed, and focused on long-term success. Season 5 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast hosted by FOTM Al Grego for Moneris and Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making her Toronto Mic debut is Michelle McAdorey.
Hello.
Welcome, Michelle. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm very happy to be here.
A little cooler than it was last week. I just spent the weekend in Montreal. I got back like last night, and it seems like when I left, it was like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 degrees, it felt like, and now it's winter time.
Montreal is such a great city.
Have you considered relocating and living in Montreal?
I did at one time. Yeah, I thought I'm going to do that, and then things changed. But it's so beautiful there. I think it's such a romantic city.
It's a great city, but Toronto's a pretty good city. You're a Toronto gal?
I am.
So you're, what neck of the woods, like what neighborhood are you from in this city?
Well, originally, I grew up in the East End, in the beach
What
area.
do you prefer? I feel saying the beach seems a little like mildly pretentious.
I think so, but I remember talking to my mother about this, and she would, she said, "Oh no, it was originally the beach." I'm like, "No, I don't think it was. I think it was the beaches." Anyways, I don't know. From the beaches, I thought that's what I would say, and then so who knows?
Or
yeah. The
okay.
beach. I agree. The beach is just a little bit,
When my mom, so we drove to Montreal. By the way, thank you, Hyundai. They lent me a Palisade, and it was very roomy. And there were 6 of us going to Montreal and back.
Wow.
So shout out to Hyundai. Very roomy, very comfortable, lovely ride. But I said to my mom, I said, "Oh, Michelle McAdorey is coming over." And then my mom went into this long speech about how much she loved Bob McAdorey. Are you related to Bob McAdorey from 1050 Chum?
I am. Yep. That was my Bob was my uncle.
I think even though I actually knew this, but that is the first fun fact. I feel like I should pull some Bob. So Bob McAdorey, who I actually remember, I don't remember him from 1050 Chum, I'll be honest. I remember Bob McAdorey from Global. Like he was doing entertainment on the Global desk, and he was great and gone far too soon, but you are his niece.
I am. Yes, I'm one of his nieces, and I know a lot of. He was unique, right? In what he did, he had his own particular, and I guess his hair. I don't know. For some reason, a lot of people would talk about his
great hair.
Yeah, but that it wasn't all tightly coiffed. That it would sort of do its own thing. And he did a lot of radio too. Yeah, but a little before my time too. But I mean, he did some country radio too, like CFGM.
That's very possible. Like I wish I could get him on the show here. I have him on a list of people like Brian Linehan, all these guys I missed, I want to talk to, and I can't get Bob McAdorey on, sadly. But it is you're kind of carrying on the McAdorey legacy there, Michelle McAdorey.
Trying.
Trying. Did you say try?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start here, and then we'll pick up what I missed. But I want to start. I was waiting. See, will Michelle McAdorey naturally, organically say that? Because then I could play this and kind of get to your origin story. But my mom also loves this song, so let's.
Don't Tell me I'm
Let Jim
wrong.
Cuddy do his thing here for a moment.
I've been watching every move that you hold you steal in your makeup and heels. Trouble for the man that you take. Every time you walk in the room.
I don't even want to fade it down. I'm digging it. But okay, what do you think of the song Try?
Oh, it's a great song. It's like seems like a classic, you know, immediately. That's how that song always hit me. Just the melody and everything about it. Yeah, gorgeous song.
So we're going to go pre-try, and then we'll kind of talk about the fun fact regarding you and the song, the video for the song Try. But okay, so
where I pout my way through.
well, yeah. So okay, so let's spill it now. What do you have to do with the video for the song Try, Michelle?
I guess I was the gal who was trying.
That's amazing. Look, all these fun facts related to Bob McAdorey in the video for Try. If that were your whole career, I'd say we'd have a great episode.
Well, they weren't my feet though. They had to there was one, they wanted to do some extra pickup shots or something, and I wasn't around, and they're like, well, what shoes were you wearing? Can you get us those shoes? So they had someone else wear my shoes, and I remember sort of thinking, you know what? My ankles aren't quite like that. You know,
your ankles are better.
Yeah, my ankles are better.
I feel the same way. I'm going to take a note here because later I have to go to Wikipedia and make this key update. Those are not Michelle McAdorey's feet. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Taking a note here for Wikipedia later.
Good.
All right. So I mean, you tell me your story because you did some cool shit long before Blue Rodeo was recording, writing the song Try. Like bring me back because I mean I want to hear, like, if you don't mind. I mean, you got some time, right? You can get some detail here. I mean, you weren't even Michelle McAdorey. I feel like you were Blanche McAdorey. Give me the story here.
Your homework.
Yeah.
So I took off from Toronto as a very young person, and
human being from planet Earth.
Human, and ended up. I was in New York, and then I was in London. I was supposed to be studying, but eventually that ended, and I had just sort of answered ads, realized I wanted to stay and live in London because I had this dual citizenship and pursue music. Yeah. And so eventually I meet Kirsty MacColl. Wow. That must be what you're talking about with Blanche, because I had taken a trip to Spain, and on the plane back from Spain, we got held over in Valencia, and they were handing out all this shitty champagne, which we started drinking. And lo and behold, Kirsty was across the aisle from me.
Wow.
And I don't even know how it happened, but we just she's very, very funny, witty person. And we just start going back and forth and then singing and talking, and we became fast friends. She's like, we have to hang out. So we did. I'd never been in a recording studio. I'm doing the real fast version. And she was making a record, and she said, I need to have you come in and sing with me. Because we were always singing, just fooling around, harmonizing, especially waiting to get.
But this is key. Like, she could hear you sing and realize, oh, this girl can sing.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, it. Like, how generous and cool, right? To do that. Like, I was 16, 17. And
wow.
She just said, yeah, come on into the studio. And so we would do all these weird accents. And one of them was our weird parody on Streetcar Named Desire. For some reason, I became Blanche. And so I'm credited as Blanche McAdorey on that record.
That's why we're heading into the Christmas music all the time era in this. It's just because we're going to be inundated. I mean, it's already started. What is this, November 20? It's already started. But Fairy Tale of New York is my favorite Christmas song of all time.
Me too. Yeah, I'm with you.
And can I make this bold statement? You tell me if this is bullshit. No Kirsty MacColl, no Michelle McAdorey. Like how influential was her in you having a career in music?
Well, that's really, I mean, I was already pursuing stuff like kind of simultaneously, but she opened up things. I mean, I had another very fortuitous meeting. living. I mean, I had lots of them in London. I don't know, it just seemed to happen. But I met Speedy Keen. And do you know who he is?
No, I was right now. My brain is like checking all the databases for the
He's
name
very,
Speedy.
very important to me.
Okay, tell me who
actually.
he
So
is.
he Speedy Keen and Thunderclap Newman.
Oh,
and
yes,
he
yes,
penned a huge
yes.
hit, Something in the Air.
Yes, I know the song very well. Yes.
And then he was producing Motorhead and worked with Pete Townsend. Anyway, so I meet him at this pub. I had started making these little tapes with a guy I'd met, and he heard them, and he's like, "That's it, it's right. We got to go make a record." And so he just mentored me in the best way. Yeah. So he was also very pivotal to just learning, starting, figuring out how to write songs and record. And
you're so young. You're in London, England. For a moment, I thought, oh, what's so great about London, Ontario, that you can meet all these wonderful people? But no, Michelle's in London, England. That's a key detail here. And you're a teenager, and all this is going on. I'm wondering why you even came back. Like why not just, hey, you can stay there. You could be like Chrissy Hind or something, and then start the Pretenders.
You know, I did stay for quite a while, and then eventually we did this band I had. We had this band. We were called Cold Fish. And then, yes, Chapel for publishing. But, you know, I really also had the classic experience. I mean, I met a lot of interesting people, and there was lots of side stories that are interesting, but I also had the classic experience of being totally ripped off. And just, as Speedy would always warn, about all the sharks in the music business. So in Canada, they wanted to release this record and this song because we had Midjour from Ultravox,
which is also huge,
produce this song, which was also very freaky for me, which is just because I remember thinking,
oh, that's Love Me Today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was released here. The label here, which was CBS, changed the name of our band.
Is it because we had a fish?
I don't know.
They don't, you can't be, you're Cold Fish, Fish, by the way, but there is a fish, Phish, I suppose.
I think it was just, again, I didn't have really managed.
And there's a fish bone. Like what about fish bone? They were worried, how can we have a cold fish? There's already a fish bone.
It was just crappy record execs making a, bad call. Let's change the name to Correct Spelling, but we're going to spell it incorrectly. Oh my God, you guys are so clever.
Really? So
how...
Okay, well, they were thinking ahead. They knew one day you have to have a SEO friendly name when people, like in Linkin Park, right? You have to spell it wrong so you could have the domain name and own the spelling when people Google it. Correct Spelling, for the record, was spelled with one R incorrect.
Yeah.
And you didn't get a say in the matter? They just changed your name?
No.
Well, that's bullshit.
It's bullshit. But I was very young, and, maybe I should just hire a lawyer now and just go after all this stuff.
Okay, Love Me Today was... Okay, so is Love Me Today on YouTube? Like, can I find Love Me Today?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, because I feel like you would know if it was out there lingering. Okay, Love Me Today by Correct Spelling?
Well, it became some sort of dance thing.
Like, would CFNY have played it?
I think it did.
Okay, because you were kind of new wavy.
Yeah. No, it was. It had there was a dance mix that was done for the A side and the B side. The B side was Strange Boy. And it was a, good hit in some of the sort of gay clubs.
Okay.
So that was really cool. That was one of the highlights for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was played,
alongside maybe Spoons, you're going to get in or...
Probably.
Probably. Right. Shout out to Rob Proust there. Okay, very cool. So now you're something brings you back to Toronto. So what is it again that brought you back to Toronto?
Oh, let's see. Just, heartache, poverty, just different, disillusionment. Living in London, not dissimilar to New York. At least for me, it was like, this is the center of the universe, and the pressures of trying to keep it all together and, do something, get something happening. It took its toll, I guess. So then I had met Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo. And Jim used to try to sneak into clubs underage before I left to London. And so we had stayed in touch, and they were in New York, but Greg, I think, had just moved back to Toronto, and he was like, "It's great here because it's like nowhere, and it doesn't cost anything to live here." And I'm like, "Oh,
What a time to
okay.
be alive.
Well, do you know how to make blueberry pancakes? All right, I'm gonna come back." So I did.
Okay, so you've mentioned Greg. So what was your relationship like with Greg Keeler when you come back?
Well, we were just quite inseparable. Really like best friends, hanging out. And again, I had these songs I'd started writing, and he was very encouraging of them and to keep going. He's like, "Come on, let's start a band." I'm like, "What? Well, you've got a band." "Yeah, no problem." Because Blue Rodeo was happening, but not like, he could manage two bands for a while. So he's like, let's start a band. And so yeah, we started a band.
Okay, what's the name of the band you started?
Crash Vegas.
Crash Vegas. Okay, this is I'm trying to make this the definitive Crash Vegas deep dive. So you have a good memory of things? Like sometimes people are like, "Oh, I don't remember dates." What was this? Sylvia Tyson was just on the program, and I'm like, I'm trying to go back, and I don't remember dates. I don't remember this. I'm like, but how is your memory, Michelle McAdorey?
I think it's, what I mean, memory is quite fallible, right? It seems to just morph and change into oh, someone's calling in.
Listen, I am going to turn off my ringer. I'm a very rude host. It is now off.
Memory's pretty good, but I'm sure it's got its giant black holes.
Well, listen, when we find these discrepancies, I'll bring you back and we'll have a panel discussion to find out the truth here. But okay. You had a romantic relationship. This is important. So Greg Keeler and you start up Crash Vegas. Did you?
I somehow forgot about that. It's weird, the memory, how it works.
I just saw him at the premiere of this Much Music documentary. It's called 299 Queen Street West. And I mean, a lot of us were at this premiere. It was at Roy Thompson. I almost said Nathan Phillips Square. It wasn't at Nathan Phillips Square. It was at Roy Thompson Hall. Don't confuse Nathan with Roy. They're two different people. But anyway, so I saw Greg Keeler there. That's exciting for you. But okay, he's not an FOTM, which means he's never been on the program, although Jim Cuddy has. But while Greg is in Blue Rodeo, he's got a side hustle with sweet and pretty and talented Michelle McAdorey. That's you, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And what are you? Is it true you're also writing some Blue Rodeo stuff? Like I'm trying to. Did you contribute anything to Outskirts, the big breakthrough album for Blue Rodeo?
No, I never. I mean, later, a song that Greg and I wrote, I think they ended up, recording. But no, I did. I was in a couple of the videos.
Including Try, which is, let's face it, I say this.
And rose-colored glasses as well.
That's a big one too. Look at you. Okay,
I know, I got all the good ones,
Okay, you did.
Diamond Mine, I should have been in that. Really? Why didn't you?
Diamond Mine is my favorite Blue Rodeo song.
Yeah, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that I like you already. Okay. What was I going to say about this? You don't know what I was going to say about this. In fact, I'll come back to it actually. But you guys start Crash Vegas. I got a bunch of questions about Crash Vegas. Who else is in Crash Vegas besides you, Michelle, and Greg Keeler?
Well, you are wearing a t-shirt right now.
I'm wearing my Martha and the Muffins t-shirt.
Exactly. So, I was I didn't know the full catalog of Martha and the Muffins, but Echo Beach for me was it was such a cool song, and it was, there weren't trying to find cool Canadian music. I mean, of course, it was Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and things like that, but sort of more contemporary new wave stuff. And that really...
Blue Peter was pretty good.
Yeah, Blue Peter was good too. So when I learned that Jocelyn... I was really into the idea of playing with women too. If I could find some other women that were playing, and I'd heard about Jocelyn, and so I got in touch with her through however I did. And Jocelyn played bass with Martha and the Muffins, and we were very lucky to get Jocelyn to come and play bass.
And that's Lanois. That's a big
Jocelyn
name in Canadian musical circles. If you can get the name Lanois, it usually means you're well connected here.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't know about her brother at all, and supposedly that impressed her.
That was you had her. Okay, you had her at that.
Well, I think she felt so validated that I was I wanted to talk to her because I was in awe and sort of this romance with her versus, oh, your brother.
Right. Were you, did you feel similarly when somebody would be like, I don't know Bob McAdorey. I only know Michelle McAdorey.
I'm like, what are you talking?
She's my mom. I said, Michelle McAdorey's coming over.
Yeah,
And
really.
then my mom's like, she goes into this whole thing, but she loved listening to Bob McAdorey on 1050 Chum. And I heard this whole story and I'm like, yeah, this is Bob's niece. And that was the fun fact. She's like, what's a Crash Vegas? Where did the name Crash Vegas come from? That's an important detail to get on the record here.
Greg and I just sitting around, trying to figure out the band name. We had some bad contenders. And I think, it was we were trying to come up with something. And, anyways.
But you came up with, that's a Crash Vegas. That works. I will say the worst name I think I've ever heard for a band might be Correct Spelling. That might be the worst name I've ever heard for a band.
Exactly.
Like I'm so angry.
That's why I sort of never talked about it. It was just blasphemous. What can one say? See,
well, that's what you're here
shuts
for.
it all down.
Shuts it all down. That's what I like. I like the silence. I had Art Bergman here, and there's a moment where we were talking about his wife had passed away, and they were married a long time, and he wrote a song about her, and we played it, and he was weeping, like he's sitting there weeping, and there was a moment of silence where he's like in his, and I was like, I'm sitting here, and I've done this 1,300 times, and I'm like, I will ride this silence all day. Like I will sit. I'm no edits. Like I will have now 20. If it's 25 minutes of silence before Art says another word, I'm gonna ride the silence. Like I was so.
It was a beautiful,
beautiful
episode.
Silence. Oh, did you hear it?
I've heard it.
I didn't even want to assume. I figured you're like, some bozo in South Toronto invited me over. I'll talk about Crash Vegas. What's this guy's problem? So I'm sitting here. You're there. You're where Art was. I'm here, and I'm like, this man. He suffered a great loss, and he's remembering her now, and he's in this moment of silence. I'm going to ride this for 20 minutes. There was another gentleman in the room, and I love this guy, but he's like the publicist for Art. And there's like 2 heartbeats, 3 heartbeats, and I'm telling you, I'm in. I'm like, I love this. They let this, Art take his mind. He wasn't even going to say that. Just sit here till Art says anything. If it takes a half an hour, that's fine. It'll be half an hour silence. You're on a run. You're listening to Toronto Mike. Why did I have a half an hour of silence? Because it happened in the room. That's what happened. Anyway, Jason felt 4 heartbeats was enough, and he interjected. And I was sitting here, and I love. There's no Jason, no Art on Toronto Mike. Jason drove him here. Jason made it happen. Right. Jason's a great ally of the program. Right. Love Jason Schneider. Right. Love that guy.
Yeah, I know.
But I was thinking, didn't say it out loud, maybe till right now. Jason, you son of a bitch, shut the hell up. I'm riding the silence. Okay, let me have my silence. Anyway, so that silence, I'm into the silence, is what I'm telling you. This is the new thing for the next 1,000 episodes. Trying to make more silence. Is that a bad idea for a podcast? More silence? Ridiculous.
That was pretty good.
I'm ridiculous. Okay, good. You did. I should have just let you ride that silence. Okay. When does Colin Cripps enter the fray? That's a big name.
Colin Cripps. We realized that Greg could no longer hold down the guitar. Jocelyn. Colin is from Hamilton, so is Jocelyn, and she had seen, I guess she had this little studio set up with her and Malcolm and Dan, this place called The Lab. And I guess Colin and his band had come in there. And I guess I did a couple of shows, and she'd say, it's crazy. He often takes his shirt off at the shows. I'm like, oh no, I don't know. And she's like, no, he's really, the guitar is great. So sure enough, we were like, wow, he's really good. Yeah, he can learn those parts and do that. Let's get him in.
When does Greg exit? Is he completely gone at this point? Like you're like, no, Greg's heart is in Blue Rodeo and we want to do something different. Like, do you fire Greg Keeler from Crash Vegas? What's going on there? Yeah,
no, it really just was a sort of obvious thing because they've got a momentum and we had our first record recorded. He was
Red Earth?
Yes, okay. Red Earth. We were down in New Orleans with Malcolm Byrne, and we were sort of we were the first people to record there while they're working out all the issues.
They're gonna break some eggs with Crash Vegas, so when Bob Dylan shows up, or whatever, they're ready to go.
All the people, right? So, it was fantastic to be there. I'd never been in New Orleans, and we were living there for 3 months. It was really amazing. And then our record really does, they're gonna give it a push, and we're gonna have to tour. So there's no way Greg can be part of that. The schedule just starts to get too demanding. So it's see you later. And, Colin, you're the guy.
Wild. That's wild. That's
Keep your
wild.
shirt on.
Well, it depends. Okay.
Yeah, it was a depend. Maybe you should pull the shirt off tonight, Colin. We're going to need it.
Right. Well, if you got to do what you got to do. Let me ask you a very personal question. Okay, Michelle?
Right.
When does the romantic relationship with Greg Keeler, when does that end in relation to kicking him out of the band?
That happened well after the first record is released and doing well. And we weren't even under contract for more records, and suddenly we're the bit of a hot item and people are calling, and Greg and I are living together, but we're gonna move out of the city. And I'd say as Crash Vegas is on its own kind of ascent of sorts, the relationship is just not, it's sayonara, or see you
It
later.
happens. Who hasn't had a good relationship go sour?
Yeah. Okay.
See, I was riding that silence there. I'm into it. I'm into the silence.
Yeah, so it was the end. It was sort of the end as I was starting to make the second record, which was weird timing.
All right, and that's the album you named after FOTM Hall of Famer Stu Stone. That's Stone, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you think of Art Bergman on Toronto Mike? Before I play a big jam from the first album and ask you many, many more questions.
Oh, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Art Bergman, and so he's engaging, and it was great, funny, interesting. His life is really interesting to me, and yeah.
He just played White Rock. Well, he's out. He lives in Vancouver, so he just played White Rock, and I saw that Brother Bill, a good friend of the program from CFNY, Brother Bill was at the show. So shout out to Brother Bill. You want to hear a big Crash Vegas jam? This is a big one, and when I heard this, I'm like, this is amazing. You ready?
Okay, what is it?
How many times will you walk away? How many times will you walk away? Don't turn your back on me now. It's so easy for you. How many times will I hear those replies? How many times your endless replies while you're sitting so cool as everything crumbles around you? But I walk down this road and I see all these people just passing by tomorrow's headlines, familiar crimes, and I wonder, it makes me wonder, inside out, I was crying, inside out, I was dying, inside out now, I was lying.
So was Inside Out, was that recorded in New Orleans? Or is that a Hamilton recording?
There was a good chunk of things. I feel like it was recorded. Here's my memory going. I think some of it was recorded in Toronto, in Hamilton at the lab.
Right.
And then we tweaked, added some stuff, and was definitely mixed down in New Orleans. But yeah, there was a chunk of stuff that was recorded at the lab.
Big jam. I'm thinking of, you guys played Edgefest. Do you remember playing Edgefest in 1990? Any memory of Edgefest?
Yeah, or maybe.
It's all a blur to you. But
where was it?
In 1990, was it on the island in 1990? They eventually moved this to Barrie, but they don't move it to Barrie for a few more years. So I think maybe Toronto Island. Does that ring a bell? No,
perhaps.
Or by the harbor front, maybe. Is there even? We don't know where the hell that was. But okay,
No.
Edgefest in 1990. That was on Canada Day. You were playing that. But here, I got a couple of questions about something called, and I even pulled the poster for this. I'm very interested in how this came to be. I'm looking at it right now. A Gathering of the Tribes.
Oh.
And this was curated by Ian Ashbury from the Cult. if I tell you the names of some of the bands that were on this Gathering of the Tribes, this is from 1990, October 1990. It was in California Music Festival. And here are the acts I see on the poster. Militants UK, The Cramps, Crash Vegas, Ice-T, Iggy Pop, Indigo Girls, the London Choir Boys, Michelle Shocked, The Mission UK, Public Enemy, Queen Latifah, and Soundgarden. 1990, okay?
1990. I thought it was after that. There you go. my
October
memory.
6th, 1990. Staring at the poster.
Really?
I think
It
so.
wasn't 92?
I'm going to stick with my poster unless they erroneously
Well,
wrote October 1990.
We
on
were
this.
very lucky to get on that because we had new management. There's this guy, again, no longer with us, Bill Graham, and he's a sort of music legend in the U.S. And do you know about him?
I feel like he's a preacher. No? That's Billy Graham.
Bill Graham. He was Bill Graham Presents, and he had
Okay.
the Fillmore East, and like he put on he was a giant promoter and huge in the 60s, like Jefferson Airplane and Hendrix,
The
and
Doors and all
worked with
that, maybe.
all these people, and he managed people. So he heard our record, whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna manage you.
Wow.
And it was just like, exactly, we're like, okay. We don't
Well, you
sing.
probably heard that song. That song, when you hear that song in your headphones, I know you're close to that song, Inside Out. That's objectively a great single.
Hey, thanks.
What do you think? Can you remove yourself from being part of the band and say, I'm hearing that now? That's some other band. What do you think of that song? That's a great song, right?
I'm very happy with that song.
Is that your humble Canadian way of saying that song kicks some ass?
No, I think it stands up. It's one I'm very happy with in terms of the lyric and the melody. And it's funny though, as I'm listening to it, I was thinking again of Kirsty. Like I can hear that influence, and Billy Bragg. I was so into talking
Right.
poetry with the Taxman, like Shirley. I loved his sense of melody, and also that he had substance in his lyrics. There was something political.
He was always telling a story, something
was.
political.
Yeah.
The last two episodes, not the last one, because it's all about Rusty's Wake Me. Maybe one day there'll be an episode about Crash Vegas's Inside Out. But the last two episodes before that, actually, we played a Billy Bragg song on each of them, and because they were kicked out by FOTMs as one of their favorite songs, we talked about it. And in both times, I think I said Ron Hawkins from Lowest to the Low is Canada's Billy Bragg.
Wow. Cool.
I don't know.
Cool.
That's what I say. Okay, but Billy Bragg, who was of course a New England, is that the song? Christy McCall covers Billy Bragg,
Yes, that's right.
so there's a lot of crossover here.
Yeah, but there's just a sense of melody or something being in 5/4. It's just a certain kind of thing. But yes, I really like that song.
Great song. Okay, now we're back to this.
You wite some good
festival.
ones and you write some
Okay,
shit
okay.
ones.
You don't want to peak too early, right? There you go. Okay, so we're gonna get back to it. But so this promoter, Bill Graham, is like, I like the cut of your jib, kids, and he's like, I'm gonna make you the next Moby Grape or whatever. And therefore, he puts you on that bill because, I mean...
Yeah, and we're the first ones on, right? It's almost like we're testing out the sound system. So, because you can
like
imagine...
Moby Grape at the Monterey Pop Festival in '67. Moby Grape was the first band on before Janis Joplin and, all these big deals.
Well, that was us. So we were there, and it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing just to be there, to see all those artists that... I was, in awe of.
Ian Asbury has a Hamilton connection, right? So he lives in Hamilton for a period of time. Like, is this where is there a Hamilton connection because he moved with his family to Hamilton in 1973 when he was 11 years old, and he spent many years before becoming a big rock star with the Cult in Hamilton, Ontario. Does that connect him to Daniel Lanois, which connects him somehow to Crash Vegas? Is that your way into this festival?
No, it was Bill Graham. So that's why I've never heard of the Ian Asbury connection.
He gets all the credit for Gathering of
It's
the
weird.
Tribes.
Because if you look at it as more like, I don't know the searches on this, but it was a Bill Graham presents Gathering of the Tribes, but who knows? Like for
Okay,
sure.
here's how Wikipedia,
Yeah.
not as the
Yeah,
be all
yeah.
end all, but a Gathering of the Tribes was a 2-day music and cultural festival organized by Ian Astbury and promoter Bill Graham,
Okay.
held in California in October 1990. It is considered the precursor to the Lollapalooza touring festivals of the 1990s. An opinion shared by Asbury himself. Of course, he's going to think that. Talks about it was in Shoreline Amphitheater in
Yeah.
Mountain View
Exactly.
and the Pacific Amphitheater in Costa Mesa on October 7th. Okay, well, anyway, the event, you were in Mountain View, and it was supposed to raise money for awareness of Native American related causes.
Exactly.
That's why it's called the Gathering of the Tribe. And it's a heck of a lineup, but somebody had to go first, and it's you. I mean, this is early Soundgarden, but still, I think Bad Motorfinger, maybe that comes out in 1990. But bottom line is, you've got some big, big artists, and
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy. Chuck D's been on this program. You're now following in the footsteps once again of the great Chuck D. But back to Crash Vegas here. You were there, and what happened with your relationship with Bill Graham? Like, did he lose the faith, or did he keep rocking in the free world? What's going on there?
He died tragically in a helicopter crash. It was really, I can still remember that morning being woken up and told. It was really, really tragic. In fact, I'd say that marked a real turn, when looking back in the career of Crash Vegas, the trajectory of that band.
October, 1 year after this festival, he dies in that helicopter crash, October 19. If he doesn't,
Wow.
I know you're blowing your mind, but I'm reading it right here.
Yeah, okay.
What if he doesn't get on that helicopter? What happens to Crash Vegas? We'll never know.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other thing. I mean, exactly.
That's wild.
We'll just leave that silence.
How much time should I give it? I chime in here. Okay. So this is great. Now we talk, you don't remember Edgefest, but you do remember, thankfully, my light just came on. That's probably Bill Graham. He's here. Do you believe that? Do you believe in any of that stuff? You do? You're nodding. She's nodding. Okay. So that light coming on, that could be Bill Graham just letting you know he's here and he's listening. There's an empty chair for Bill.
That's what Patti Smith did when I saw her. She pulled up a chair for Garcia.
Cherry Garcia.
Exactly. And she just
I almost call him Cherry Garcia. That's like ice cream.
That's their nickname for him. Which should be an ice cream flavor.
But it is, right? Ben and Jerry's made a Cherry Garcia.
Yeah. So she pulled up a seat for him, and she was sure that he arrived. So yeah, Bill.
Okay, so
Thanks,
Bill is with us.
Bill.
Love it. A Gathering of the Tribes. Okay. And
he would come to shows,
Yeah.
and then see you after the show, and he had these little cards in his pocket, and he'd pull them out and tell you his observations.
Well, I will just do a shout out to Ridley Funeral Home as we talk about the late great Bill Graham, who believed in your band. So Red Earth, that's the big single, but there's more. I'm just gonna play. You're here. I'm gonna play a little more here.
Inside Out was the big single.
Yeah, that's right. Just a little more, since I noticed you kind of like words. One word that starts with S. There seems to be a little bit of a theme. Maybe not. You can hear the Blue Rodeo origin sort of in the guitar work and everything. You can hear that kind of country rock flavor. Do you hear it?
Well, I'd say that if there was a sound happening, in the city at that time, it was that sort of alt country
Cowboy
folk.
Junkies.
Exactly. It was all like Handsome Ned. It was just a thing, and that twang. Also, just thinking of other artists that would have been in, Neil Young and Gordon Lightfoot, great songwriters. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I say.
So this is Smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Till we said goodbye. Goodbye.
That S word observation was because I could have played Sky, but I chose Smoke, and we're about to talk about Stone. You know what I mean? Like, these are all like one syllable S words. I know. I'm just really reaching here. Okay. Lanois, what happened with the aforementioned Lanois? That did she leave the band? What's going on?
Yeah, we just had to part company.
Is there some real talk here? And again, if it's private, just say it's none of your business, Mike. That's fair game. But Jocelyn, this has been referred to as it's not an how do that is acrimonious. Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had gotten, sometimes there's like bands are so much about chemistry. It's a hard thing to do, to be together, traveling all the time. And I think we had just come to a point where there were some internal struggles. Strife.
That's a great word.
Yes.
Because you like the one
Strife.
syllable S words. Strife is such a word.
There we go. Strife. And then, so we made a change.
Meanwhile, we didn't refer to this, but I know Risque Disque. How do you say that?
Risque Disc.
Risque Disque, because these spelt like they rhyme, but they don't rhyme. It's one of those tricky ones. Okay, Risque Disque. This is your label, and this was like, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but Greg Keeler suggests this label for you guys, and then they go bankrupt and kind of fucks you over there.
Well, it was weird. We also ended up not being fully signed, so we get this successful record. It gets distributed by Warner's or with Warner's, but then we're kind of not under contract. So then we are free agents after, and we ended up going to another label. Whether that was, hindsight, the best thing to do or not, well, we could talk about that, hindsight, of course.
It's 2020.
Yes. It's just the past.
And that's okay. So we are going to talk about Stone, but as you know, we come off this debut album with Big Jam. You're on this gathering of the tribes, and you're touring all over the place. Did you open for any particularly interesting artists as you're touring United States and Canada?
Oh God, yeah, we were very lucky in that regard. Toured a lot with the Tragically Hip. I mean, they were huge supporters. We were great pals. Anybody, I think, who has been lucky enough to be on playing with the Tragically Hip they're just such generous hosts. They go out of their way. It was amazing. So we did a lot of shows with the Hip. Radiohead, we were really lucky to be on that the first time they come to North America with their hit Creep. And that was fantastic, because what a band. And people were just so excited about that band. And then also we were sort of, able to be on that show with them. And
that's amazing.
It was. And who else? There's lots. I could still keep going, but.
You could go. I'm going to ride the silence until Michelle coughs up. Well, by the way, my daughter, the reason I went to Montreal is because my daughter lives there, because she's going to McGill. So she's a student there, and her girlfriends, they rented this. They're on the same street as Amy Millan from Stars. Like, they live on the same street. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And you could be there too if you had made the move to Montreal.
Hey?
But her name's Michelle. So I'm just bringing it up because I spent all weekend with my Michelle. I could write a song, My Michelle. You're a Michelle. You're a different Michelle. No one get confused. You're the niece of Bob McAdorey. That's how my mom knows you. Yes. Michelle McAdorey.
I hope she's listening.
I hope she is too, because she's getting some shout outs here. I just spent all weekend with her. So time for a break. Just kidding, Mom. Okay. Just kidding. Just in case she's listening, I'll have to make a rare edit here. Okay. So who did you sign with after Risque Disc goes bankrupt?
We then go to, London Records in the US.
All right, London, back in your life again, London.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Who replaces Jocelyn?
Darren Watson is the first replacement.
Okay, you didn't know this would be so tough here. Tell me about how does Stone differ from Red Earth? Like is it in any other differences that you recall?
Wow, it was quite. I mean, It was different. We were in LA. That was different. I'd say that, you have all this time where you're working towards your first record and then suddenly throwing in on our second record. I think it was trying to be a little harder. A lot of meddling started happening again, where just like in my first experience where I'm supposed to be so naive, and which I was, and I learned, a similar thing happens where the record company kind of reaches in and pulls out some songs and sends them off to the, hot producer of the moment, Butch Vig, and has him do some mixing. But like, just because he's had a hit over there doesn't, it's a weird kind of approach sometimes that labels, record execs could have. Not that they're all bad. Some of those people are very talented and really adept and sensitive at what they do, but some just don't have a clue.
But it also leads to an interesting debate on like okay, so let's take an album like Nevermind. Okay, so Nirvana had a big album there, right?
It was wow.
Okay. But the question is, okay, so Nirvana, they write the songs, they play the instruments, they're their songs, and then you get the Butch Vig treatment or whatever. But how much of Nevermind's credit goes to a Butch Vig versus a Kurt Cobain? Like where is the division there? And can you just apply that producer to another band and then have a big album like Nevermind?
I don't think you can. I mean, I think it's dangerous to think that there is some kind of special. I mean, there maybe is special formulas. You hear about those people. Yeah, it's this person, and I've written all these hits for all these people. And there are producers, I think, that have a kind of consistency of the way they work. But I think it can also be a very flawed thing to just think, well, there's this piece of work that people have been working on, but now we're going to send it over here, and hopefully that person will, this idea of fix it in the mix, or I don't know. That's the part of the music biz that would make me feel a bit crazy. Like, I can't stand it.
I could see that.
And where's the exit? Because this no longer is about music. It seems so much about trying to fabricate, manipulate some kind of hit. And it's an interesting question.
Like, where does one end?
Pursuit.
It's interesting. It's Daniel Lanois. So, okay, so you talked about the Tragically Hip, and is it Don Smith? Don Smith is the producer that really helped make the Tragically Hip. I'm going to say, speaking of, Paul Langlois, there's another Langlois, but I believe Don Smith is the producer that helps make the sound of the Tragically Hip. But meanwhile, if you talk to the lowest of the low, Don Smith produced their follow-up to Shakespeare My Butt, and they absolutely had to, they hated that experience so passionately that they did stop liking their own songs because of the bad experience they had making that album with the same guy who kind of made the Tragic Clip. So absolutely, you can't just take a Butch Vig, apply it to a Crash Vegas. And
Butch was not the producer of that record. He mixed. But there was John Porter was the producer. And again, we had selected him because of Bass Player and Roxy Music. He had produced this Canadian record. There was a band called Circle C. Do you know them at all?
I feel like I know Circle C. Can you sing some Circle C?
No, but okay. They made this record, which I don't remember the name of. I thought it was just such a brilliant record. And so, John Porter did that. We got to work with him. And it really, to me, it wasn't the right fit. If I'm perfectly honest, I like things about Stone. Like, it's hard to, especially when people who listen and support your music might love it. Last thing I'd want to do is, but it was a difficult record. Whereas Red Earth, it seemed, even though you could have challenges, and it seemed like we were all the right people with the same kind of mind, like ushering this thing into being. Whereas Stone, it was different. And I think if Bill Graham had been there, anyways.
I didn't realize the Bill Graham. This is interesting to me. You're right. Like, this is a twist of fate.
Maybe Bill would have pulled the plug, and we could have shifted a bit, and then But
it does set in motion a whole bunch of it's regret. Like you need to. I don't know if there's a sliding doors thing here where you go and Bill doesn't get on that helicopter. Like, what events would it take? This is your champion, right? This is Bill Graham, champion of Crash Vegas. If he had lived beyond, October 1991, what would have became of Crash Vegas? We'll never know. It's just fascinating to sort of think about where things shifted and changed as a result of that.
It is. It's interesting. So Stone.
For the next 2 hours, I want to talk about the alternate universe. I'm sorry. So Stone. No, you continue your thoughts on Stone. I have to do a little mop up and get back to Stone because I want to play a song from Stone. I'm going to do the mop up here. So
do it.
I want to shout out Cam Gordon. He actually sent in a question which I asked. I stole it from Cam. I was going to ask it anyways, but it was a gathering of the tribes. I would love to know how they got booked on this show in 1990. It was curated by Ian Asprey. So we did that. Thank you, Bill Graham, for your influence there. Although I have my own theory that somehow I want to say that because there was a Langlois and a Daniel and a Hamilton connection, and Ian Asprey had the Hamilton connection reason for Crash Vegas. This is my own conspiracy theory that I have no proof. This is all speculation.
It could just be an interesting coincidence.
Of course.
Because by then we are managed by Bill. But I think Jocelyn had a crush on Ian.
Well, so did I think. Who knows?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so.
Scott Turner. Do you know the name Scott Turner?
Yeah.
He was at CFNY. When did they shuffle him out of there? They probably shuffled him out of there in the early, or fairly early, maybe 90. Well, he was in their early 90s. So Scott Turner, he was posting about Toronto concert history. He does this, and he did 30 days ago tonight. This is on November 1st. So he says on November 1st, 1993, Radiohead played RPM. I believe it was their second Toronto show after playing Edgefest that summer. If someone could confirm if they played RPM or Opera House, Crash Vegas opened. So you're just here to tell us, was it RPM? He's not sure if it was
RPM.
RPM. Okay. So Scott, this answers your question you've had for 30 years, whether that concert took place at RPM or the Opera House. It was RPM.
I think.
You just ruined everything, Michelle.
Yeah. No, it's RPM.
Okay. More mop up here. I think this is kind of interesting. VP of Sales wrote in and said, as a student between third and fourth year university, I worked at the Hamilton Spectator in their multimedia lab and got to be on stage taking video of Crash Vegas as they played at the Festival of Friends. Do you know what that is, Festival of Friends?
Is that in Guelph?
I want to say it's in Hamilton.
It's
why
in
is the
Hamilton.
Hamilton Spectator going to Guelph?
Yeah, right.
I feel like it's in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Do you have memories of the Festival of Friends?
It sounds familiar, but I'm afraid I don't know.
Michelle, get the hell out of my basement, okay? What are you here for? Okay?
Yeah,
I don't need you. I'm just going to read Wikipedia for the next half an hour here.
Nice.
Okay, let's get... Just kidding, everybody. All right, let me play. I played Smoke, right? So let me play this.
Flashes to cosmic world dancing in my head. Anyhow, I still remember things he said. Now you're gone, the hours pass slow. Love hurts the worst when you gotta let go. Cheap motel in the Mojave Desert, lying face down. September morning, 73, the day they found him. Empty bottles, overturned numbers, burnt and gone. High on some angel, lost to the morning sun. Tell me, what's it for?
September morning.
We should just get our plaid shirts on our cowboy hat. It's nice.
No, yeah, totally like a country rocker. Was there a rivalry between you guys and Cowboy Junkies? Did you guys get along? Or?
No, not. I never really felt that. No, do people feel that?
I'm gonna start a few. I like to start the odd, Canada
Can't
rock.
stand them.
feud.
Oh yeah.
Get Michael Timmons on to trash talk you.
I just remember the producer pulling me aside at one point and saying, who's English? You should think about going solo and doing country. It's not what I want to hear right
I
now.
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I have to go solo now. Be the only bartender. Or
Like,
whatever.
what?
Okay, this is a song. So I was reading the song. Who wrote this song? Colin Cripps. Okay, and this is a
Yep.
tribute to Graham Parsons.
It is.
I'm telling you what your song is about.
Yeah, thank you.
Man, September morning
Oh.
is about here. Okay.
Did you read that book
No.
by Rebecca Solnit?
I could talk like I read it.
Well, it's mansplaining. It's a kind of critique of.
Can I ask you a question then? There was
Sure.
a young woman who was on sports, like a sports media personality, very young woman. And sport is very male dominated. That's sort of an aside, but this woman was here and I gave her what I'm going to give you right now. So I'm going to give you a lasagna from Palma Pasta.
Oh,
Do you like lasagna?
oh yeah, I love to eat Italian food. My son will really like that.
How old's your son?
20.
I have a 21-year-old son, and he also enjoys Palma.
The whole thing himself.
Oh, that's a lot. He only shares a mom. Okay, that's cool. So you are getting a Palma Pasta lasagna, but this
Wow,
is
thank
about
you. That's really
a young
nice.
woman on the show. We'll call her Ashley. I gave her the lasagna, but at the beginning of that promotion, I would often tell people to do that, but because I got scared off by this moment. But I would say, you just put it in the oven at 375 Fahrenheit, put it in for 40. Perfect. Like I just said that like a line. Like looked at me like angrily, and she said, "Did you just mansplain to me how to make lasagna?" So my question to you, Michelle McAdorey, is: I actually didn't consider her gender when I said it, nor did I consider my gender. I give this like advice. Yeah, it was. So did I? Was that mansplaining? See, this is not silence because there's music in the background. Okay.
That's. I would, but I come from maybe a different generation. Is that part of it?
Maybe this. I am. I don't know, but I have never given that advice since. So you'll figure out how to make that on your own. You're on your own, but you are getting the lasagna.
But you did just actually tell me.
That's my secret side door activity here.
Oh, interesting.
So there you go. You can.
How did the rest of you go?
That's okay. Most of my conversations go pretty well, but that one there weren't a lot of warm fuzzies there for some reason. I don't think she. That's okay. You're digging me. Speaking of Doug's, okay, there's a Doug Iverson who is your album Stone, which has that lovely September morning on it. And his quote that I was reading is that you guys, geez, that's the quote. You guys were juiced up cowboy junkies. So maybe that's where this comparison comes from. Maybe.
It's hard to know. I mean, I think that people can, people make assumptions or comparisons. Sometimes it's just easy because something is,
Toronto. There's a little guitar influence in there. It's kind of
you'd like to think you're your own thing.
Sure.
But there's a way, I guess, sometimes if you do something else, they'll make the comparison like a tool to locate something, I guess.
When you're writing the songs on Stone, how much of the breakup with Greg Keeler is seeping its way into the
I think it was. Certainly was feeling it. Yeah. I felt like the whole earth was kind of mirroring things when we were down. There was an earthquake riot.
right.
I got a time before they shut the airport down.
Wow.
It's like was the mirror of my internal landscape. It was all had become externalized.
Just to go back for a moment, festival of Hamilton thing. I did find the lineup from 1990 on it, so I figured this out. On that lineup, I won't name them all. There's literally dozens there, but I am going to on Saturday. I'm going to see the Skydiggers perform, and they were on the bill. In 1990. And also,
Here's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. So have you seen Blue Rodeo recently?
For amphitheater. I don't know when that was. In the last 18 months, I've seen Blue Rodeo live.
Are you aware of a song that Greg does called "Disappear" or whatever?
Of course.
Okay. He does that preamble, right? About the
Yeah.
right. Okay, so that's me. So I'm in LA. I don't want to see Greg. I don't want to talk to him. Okay, because we're in that breakup thing.
Sure.
And so, he's like, "Oh, can we meet?" And I reluctantly, I'm going to take him to Zuma Beach because that's where I like to go. So I take him down there. Finally, I get to tell the story, right? So, yeah, but it is. I kept reaching into the ocean and pulling out sand dollars. He kept trying. Nope. And then I'd be like, "Oh, look, here's another one." 4-5-0 for Greg. And then, yeah, this whole.
I love it. Okay, I just want to point out that some people are like, "Oh, why do you need to talk for an hour?" Because that's when you've been chatting with somebody for an hour. That's how it works. You don't just open with that. Like, you got to get comfy, get a little trust going here, you can chat. Now that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
that's the goal.
That's gold. Yeah.
Also, of interest of friends in 1995 that the VP of sales was videotaping whatever he was doing was also of any nature with Molly Johnson.
Currently, but I sure remember like some of the very first shows that we ever did in Vegas. Earlier, the camera would be living upstairs, and she would come down and like very encouraging. "Hey guys, that sounds," she was just always really sweet.
One more name, because I was chatting with somebody about him last week. Ashley McIsaac.
Sure.
Did you have any? Yeah, he was on the bill as well. Any Ashley McIsaac stories?
No Isaac stories. Solo someone who had worked with him, but I don't recall ever having.
Okay, so as we leave Stone, by the way, do you drink beer?
Not
what about
really.
the 20-year-old?
Yeah, he does.
Okay. So you're 20-year-old. You're bringing home some fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery. He's gonna love his beer. You're gonna be a big hit, and of course, a measuring tape from Riddling. There, you never know. You got to measure something. It's gonna come in about this. You mentioned Neil Young earlier. I'm gonna just play this song as a bridge from. See how smart I am. From Stone to, by the way, VP of Sales, who we've already talked about quite a bit, says is one of his favorite 90s CanCon albums. Like, he's got his 90s CanCon album chart up there. So to bridge us from Stone to Aurora is this song right here.
Borealis, the eye at night, paddles cut the water in a long and hurried flight from the white man to the fields of green and the home never seen. They killed us in our teeth, cut our women down. They might have babies crying on, but the fire sticks and the wagons come. And falls on the setting sun.
Michelle, do you have any memory at all of a band called One? Does this at all ring any bell?
Like, when you say that,
One
there's
Free Fall.
yeah.
So One Free Fall. Okay, there's a guy named Scott McAuliffe who he falls. So Scott McAuliffe was in Doughboys.
Mhm.
Shout out to Montreal. They kicked him out. Josh Kastner kicked out Scott McAuliffe.
Why?
I don't know. He wasn't showing up or something. Something was going down. I have to search from Scott, but I can't remember. So Scott gets kicked out of Doughboys. This is before the big shine and all the big hits from Doughboys. But so Scott from Montreal, and he's becomes friends with a guy named Ken McNeil. Ken McNeil was the lead singer for One Free Fall. They formed Rusty.
Right.
So there you go. Why do I? Art Bergman performed on a One Free Fall song that made its way to, which was, of course, the tribute album to Neil. Another great song on Borrow Tunes is this cover of Pocahontas.
Neil Young. Oh, you mean our cover, Crush Vegas?
Crush Vegas.
Yeah. I was amazed at the amount of musicians that would credit me with that I wrote this
they
song.
think this is your song.
And I was like, have you, so anyways, yeah, I was surprised by that. People go through catalogs in different ways. I was obsessed about
I love Neil Young too, and this album is this Borrowed Tunes is fascinating. I feel like there's a deeper dive here we should do. This came out in 1994, but it's worth noting. So all these names are all interconnected, of course, because Canada is such a small little village. But you were the fourth track on disc 1. There's 2 discs. This is Out of the Blue. Guys are sandwiched between Jan Arden and Lawrence Gowan.
amazing.
Golden. Yeah, but Jan's not. So what the fuck, Jan? Okay, but this is amazing. So they just the label asked you to this next album, Aurora, because of the label switch. Like, you had some bad luck with labels. Am I right?
Yeah, we shares with labels after this was now back to. I should have Sony about that other stuff.
Why are you thinking of this now?
I don't know. I gotta call
2023.
someone. I'm gonna do it, or
Yeah, you
if
need
anyone
someone.
out there can get in touch. I
Okay.
need lawyers. I need the whole.
That's what you need, Michelle. Okay, so you end up on Sony, but this song comes first, right? Like, where is it in the order of things? Because this is a Sony tribute album to Neil Young, sort of. Like, Sony Music is key somehow. Like, there's a connection there.
Yeah, I guess they are the ones who I don't even know how actually that record.
But there is a
came to be.
Sony Music Canada link to the mentioned Borrowed Tunes, which is a tribute album to Neil Young. If I ran down, Blue Rodeo is on this thing. You ever heard of them? Holy smokes. Okay. But you end up on Sony.
It's exactly what happened. Yeah, we were invited to do a song, and then they were so into the song. They said, "Would you make a?"
Pretty great. Did you write that song, Pocahontas?
Oh yeah.
For it.
Oh yeah.
Be like, yeah, that's my song. But I would do that. Shout out to, I'm going to shout out just a couple. So, by the way, Cal Borrowed Tunes, they're just following you everywhere. But I just want to say, Mark Jordan is on there. He's an FOTM. FOTM, by the way, you know, like, what's Mike talking about? Friend of Toronto Mike, you're now an FOTM. So,
Fantastic.
note to self, get shirts and just make one and send it to Michelle, because she might.
Please.
Oh, Malcolm Burns on here too. This is Rio Statics, Bourbon Tabernacle Choir. They did Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. Steve over, that ties into Colin Linden, but that also ties into my good friend Tom Wilson from Junk House, and I feel this is a to see on different. You want to be my date?
Hey, yeah, I'll go with you. And this shirt also have a connection to Hamilton, don't they?
Well, in the last 18 months, last 12 months. Maybe? The drummer of television has a Hamilton connection.
Yeah. Does he? Or is it just that Dave Ray was from Hamilton and knew
right?
Yeah, there we go.
Here we are. Billy, drummer.
Yeah.
Ficca.
Right.
Okay.
Where's he from? Brooklyn.
This guy is from Delaware, but did Hamilton once or twice,
Delaware.
Okay? I'm just looking here. So Tom passed away like very recently. Tom Verlaine.
I got to see them at their last show here. Was amazing. I'm a huge television fan.
Yeah, well, Dave Rave is your Hammer guy, so
yeah, and I think that's what it was. Is that he knew Billy? Maybe they even played together.
Okay. Yes. Okay, drums featured on album.
That's what it is.
So they were connected. Good job. See, this is great. The longer we talk, the more we're going to unveil here. Very good. Now, I mentioned Tom Wilson because you were signed. Was it Sony? Like cool bands, basically. You were like on the list.
They needed the
bands.
cred.
Yeah. So you and Junk House to the rescue. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Come on to the Horseshoe on December 2nd and see Junk House. You'd have a good time.
Wow, it's gonna be Junk House. Cool. Yeah. We'll call.
Well, maybe.
Oh, I can't
commit to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere else.
Okay. I got Neil Young's playing a private party for me.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. For your date.
It's $2 million we can put together for that.
We'll bring him some lasagna and stuff.
It's done deal. Thank you to Paul Pasta. I just realized when they're signing bands, Junk House on the list. Know this, that Our Lady Peace was one of the bands Sony signed to be to up their cred there.
Okay.
Do you remember playing 3?
I don't know that
You mentioned the Hip earlier, so we can shout out another roadside attraction. You were on the bill with Midnight Oil and Hot House Flowers.
Yeah, that was
How was that?
Fantastic tour.
Did you get to know Gord Downey personally?
Yes.
Since I'll never forget him, passed away, as we all know. Morning, we still are potentially. I learned a guy. I was in Montreal, and I learned that they're weird to say out loud. Actually, he just passed away. Like they had a big French music band, Tremblay.
Yeah, I
in
heard
47, he just died of cancer. And
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm telling you straight up, I don't know this band at all. These French language band, massive in Quebec.
Yeah.
And so yeah, my heart's with Quebec.
Exactly.
But Gord,
Sure. Gord and I are talking about literature, lots of humor, because I'm into sports, but they would joke and say, "Okay, Michelle, show me how you hold a hockey." And I guess exactly
sure.
that's the laugh that happened as I like tried the hockey stick. Sure, but no, I'm more like I'm quite obsessive about basketball and baseball at times, but like a ball era for me. The past years and years, basketball.
Amazing. I didn't know that. That's cool. I like basketball too.
Yeah, I like sports in general.
But you didn't know how to hold a hockey stick.
That would be funny, but it was about here, have your making me a peanut butter jelly sandwich after the show, just hanging out, talking music and books, and yeah, just really thoughtful, kind human.
sparks can burn your hand. Speak as a sound out, just like a satellite. On and on and on. Tell me, what is it? Charges that are beyond the hour. You can come and burst and burst on and on and on. Late this balcony, watching the red star flickering from afar. Earth is tilted, the whole sky shifting. On and on and on. My feet keep walking.
Here's a quote from Daphne Doyle. She moved to Toronto from Newfoundland in the mid-90s. She'd play this song over and over and over again with her friends, and then she'd eventually cover.
I know. I heard that. That's such a cool thing. I love that idea. Like the fact that you write something and it goes out there, and other people might. I mean, besides people either listening and liking, loving, then go and do a version of it. That's really amazing.
Do you think this might be the biggest number 2?
I think it's number 3. Night Out and Smoke were, I guess, from that first record. And I guess it would be this, other than also the cover of the
Pocahontas.
Yeah, our version.
Who's in the band now?
You'd
Pardon
be surprised.
me. Okay.
You would be
people who think you wrote that.
The musicians that said, "That was an amazing song you wrote. The lyrics
Well,
are
the
great."
scary thing is, Colin Cripps thinks you wrote that. Concerns me. Okay. I'm going to text Andy in Junk House on December with you. So, who's in the band now? I've lost track because it's you and Colin are still there. Everyone else gone?
Oh, right. Now it's Eric Chanot and Gavin Brown, who's like Mr. Big Producer.
Okay, so what's going on? You're having difficulty keeping personnel in this band.
Yeah, it's interesting what was going on. It's like a vibe thing. Again, chemistry. Someone wants to do something else that just make the and yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, but meanwhile, this is on a high rotation on Much Music, and this is getting a lot of airplay in this country. But what about outside the borders of Canada? They don't even know this song happened, right? On and on, Lodestar only. Was there something's going on with say that word? Distribution beyond the borders of the Great North here?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this comes down to, who's, what are the label? Are they like so many other things at play? You can have great songs, music, but if you don't have the full team pulling the levers, I mean, there's so many different ways. Now, of course, people can go online, post something, and whatever, it goes viral, I guess. I hear about this.
You needed Bill.
He's
right here. The light came on. And that is a true story. People are making me. The light did come on when we were talking about. Write down who wrote. No, let's save it for the solo. We got a little bit more of a solo with you.
Yeah.
I do want to just give you another gift here, Crash Vegas, and find out why Crash Vegas crashes and burns. This is the why of Menaris and Michelle. You bring that home. You can listen. Yeah, you can listen to.
Man, when am I coming back again?
What are you doing tomorrow? Why does Menaris want you to have a speaker? Well, they want you to want, but you also should definitely listen to season 5 of Yes, We Are Open, because award-winning pod has been. He went east this time, so Maritimes and business owners, and he collects their great stories and he shares them with us. The free podcast. Yes, we are open. Heck out of us. That's the kind of good work Al is doing, and that's why you have a wireless speaker.
When?
You're speechless. I like the silence. That's
it's
right.
amazing. Well,
Oh,
can I
yeah.
give
Whoa,
you-
whoa, whoa,
Can I
whoa.
give you some right time?
Yeah, sure. I there's no script here.
All right.
How dare you interrupt me? Okay, Michelle. I'm gonna,
This
thank
will-
you so much. Okay, I'm gonna play because I have this in my hand. Do this right now. I am playing a song from this album. It's called Into Her Future, and this will be a fantastic set to your solo life. Thank you very much.
Found a window that looked to her future. Saw it clear. Still, when the makes rainbows off its tips. She did her hands in water from a nose and a dash. Oh, hills, these hills were actually mountains, kept moving over the slip, of tears and rain. Served herself a thread and returned for rain. This life blows by. This life goes fast.
Michelle, this is beautiful. Into Her Future.
I did.
Do I hear some Greg Keeler on this song?
Greg, yeah, he helped bring this record into being. It was really going through so much. Oh my! But so I had all these songs, and just going out to Greg's place, which is where I'd left way back when. But anyways, here we are. We're pals, and
But how did you become pals again?
well, because you know, I don't know about you, Mike, but like, exes are you friends with?
Like friends? Like let's go to the Horseshoe Tavern?
Yeah, or mostly I have had friendships after. There's a couple of, but anyway, so Greg and I have always been family and good to each other, even though, you know, I broke his heart way back when to retaliate in some way. And then, but anyways, be good. I'm glad he's not here. Or maybe you should get us both here sometime. But we've just always
That's an episode right there.
Yeah, a friendship and a very good friendship. And so, yeah, he had this set up at his place, which he doesn't anymore, but where I guess there to been making records out at his place. I made my first solo record there, Whirl, and then
Where's this place?
it's
I've heard
about
of
an
this place.
hour east of just my water.
As long as it's not the beer.
Yeah, no. So yeah, like an hour east of the city, and it's just a really comfortable place. It doesn't feel like a, you know, recording space.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was very instrumental in this record being
I like hearing this.
born.
This. Let's say goodbye to your band here because we need some closure here. So Crash Vegas come to an end.
True.
To me.
I think and I were feeling a kind of divergence of aesthetic kind of direction. I also felt very illusioned with how we were going about things, music business. And I think Colin, I don't want to speak, he also wanted to go in a different direction. And so it just, it was one of those sad, but also fight thing at the time.
Now, earlier you made a little aside comment about, is Colin going to be there? Because he was on going to be in Junkhouse. I'm going to see Junkhouse. But was that a joke? Or is that like, are you guys friendly? Are you civil? Like, what's going on with Colin?
Oh,
Canada music scene needs to know.
We would be friendly.
Okay.
It would all be fake, but we would be friendly. No. Be friendly.
Okay.
We had a reunion.
Tell me about the reunion.
Warner's decided to re-release Red Earth. And so as a result of that, we did a reunion show at the Danforth Music Hall. Really fun. It was really...
What year was this?
That was 2018, I think. Yeah.
Oh. By the way, just before we say goodbye to FOT on that album,
John
right?
Bora, exactly. He played all over Aurora, and so did great drummer Mike Slosky.
Right.
Fantastic. He was so great. So yeah, would be the touring band. They didn't play on the record, but
right. I was you played in Change of Heart for a little while.
Yeah.
You don't Ian Blurden's stories?
No,
That guy's
I
a
don't.
cool cat.
He is. I'm afraid I don't have any.
Doing here.
Just sort of being, and I remember.
For your return, I know you don't know that you don't have any, but collect. You just come back and share them.
I'll also figure out where.
Produce the Ian get the prospective mothers here. Okay. I do not know who wrote this, but somebody said, I bought Whirl in 2000 when it first came out. An astonishing record that is still one of my favorites.
Wow.
Okay, so like obviously when Crash Vegas and you and Colin not, you decide I don't know if you're gonna make country music. Go solo.
I go freight train riding and
Ride in the rails.
I
Michelle
do.
McAdorey.
I do. I had a friend who was doing that and I couldn't believe it. Like, all right, come along. Well, he's an artist, but yeah, I guess you could say like, or like,
do you have that stick
Al
with the
Purdy?
bag at the end? Al Purdy, yeah.
Like a poet. It just seemed like it was something that happened in another era and some other universe. But the fact that it happened, and I've owned trains, and because I used to ride them when I was really little.
Where did your grandmother live?
Woodstock, and I had another grandmother who. So I would like trains were just love them. So I got to ride some freight trains, and then. And actually, this is funny. And I'm now solo. And she's like, okay, I'm going to put together this festival, Lilith Fair. Will you come and play Lilith Fair? And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I'll come. Wow, thank you. So, me songs. But I decide I'm going to open with my spoken words. This loop of crazy sounds. Wow. And so I remember I knew the sound guy, thank God, and he the soundtrack was wild. And I just remember looking at people who were like, what the hell's happening? And I'm
that's amazing. It's kind of amazing. And of course,
what
Neil
happened
Young,
to her.
Neil Young I think he might have sold a bunch of it, but he had a massive model train collection. No, that's what I do right now.
Exactly.
And you also know this talented musician in the city of Toronto, but you know that you cannot jump in a freight train. Like, you know this. This is just a fact.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay, so I love the idea of you riding the rails. Like, this is like, and this is in the math in my head.
Yes,
so son
that's
is,
right.
Because I mentioned I have kids. They ruin everything. Okay, you can't be right. And when you eat and take care of it, it really does mess everything up. But you have it where you can ride the rails.
Yeah, amazing. It was amazing. It was an amazing thing to do. And Whirl came out of that time, and I'm really happy about Whirl. So thank you for the.
I wish I wrote down who said that.
Yeah, that was nice. Because I really like that record. It was the first record I made post Crash Vegas. I did that with Eric Chanot. Actually, we did it. Greg plays on it. Plays on Mona. Anything else? I don't know if he does. He plays drums, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, song Mona, which is a really cool song, and it was just an important record for me to make.
Sure, and it's all you now. This is niece of Bob McAdorey. That's what it said in the smaller font right underneath. Michelle McAdorey, niece of.
That's right. Who? As your mom would say.
Come on. Again, I know him from Global. I know Back to Bob. That's how we close it. Full circle. Chris album of April Fool, and he was the guy from Also produced Fluke for Rusty, which one of the great albums of all time.
Wow.
So shout out to Chris. And it doesn't even matter where I was going, because I just want to shout out one more podcast here. This is important. If you want to learn how to plan, invest, and live, Raymond James podcast, The Advantaged Investor, is for you. So it's also free, much like Yes, We Are Open. And whether you already work with a trusted financial advisor or currently manage your own investment plans, The Advantaged Investor provides the engaging wealth management information you value. And pursue your most important goals. Now he's 20, you can ride those rails again.
Yeah, it's changed. It's mom. I probably could somewhere, but I don't know.
Well, yeah. I wanted to. Last year, I went to visit my daughter in Montreal. I took Via Rail, and it was going to be $250 a person to get to. And it makes sense. I ended up borrowing a car on the 4th because it was gonna, 6 of us going, $250 a pop. It just became kind of ridiculous. So, be riding the rails.
It's too bad. It's such a great that when I go up north, like the Northland line, they stopped that, and there's talk of it coming back.
I hope it comes back. Place I want to go before we say goodbye. Note that cares. PT Player says we need another Crash Vegas reunion album, full enjoying into her future. How long ago did it into now vinyl? Thank you very much. Album now.
That album came out late 2006. I had hoped to start making something new 20 happened then. So I'm working on something now.
You're actively working on a new album. I want to make the announcement right here.
I haven't started recording it yet, but I'm working on all these.
Any special guests?
Not. I don't.
Will it be produced by Greg Keeler?
I don't. Yeah, I can't say.
To be decided. Okay.
Yeah. It hasn't come to me yet.
Hasn't come to you yet. Okay, but this is something that we 2024.
I wonder if I can get it together.
Make a call on that? The call on that. I want to say that maybe a year to unveil like a listener party. We play the new album. We talk, And then we can find out what happened with Ontario Place, because I do follow you on Twitter. And I want to close with this,
Oh, yeah.
because one of the main, are they called architects? What do they call the people who plan? They plan, no. Trillion parking.
City planners. Or,
whatever they do, these important public space and stuff.
Yeah.
He quit the team. He said that they would be cut to build a private spa, and he said, "We want to be back to nature. The trees will do far." This is all obvious stuff, and I've been ranting and raving on Twitter about this for a while, because we're going to spend tax. Spa is going to go on Ontario Place site. Go put it on somewhere else. Like, get off the.
I don't want it at the X. I know this is this sort of other.
Yeah.
And I just like, why stay in the downtown core?
Where does this passion come from? Like, that's where the smell comes off. Because where is this massive passion from this government to have the public spa in the first place? Like, crying from Ontarians that say, we need more private spas? Like, is this something I just miss?
I don't really know, but it seems to me his aesthetic is more of a kind of, suburban aesthetic.
Well, he's from Etobicoke.
Out, and I've been recently going back to Manchester. I love New York City. It's one of my favorite places ever, and I just think they've got a lot of things. I could critique lots of things, but I think it's so pretty, and yeah, hopefully we're gonna preserve that land down there and make it really amazing.
Verse because they were unpopular. Allegedly greasy.
Yeah. Let's just say it now.
He's allegedly greasy as fuck. But the Ontario Place. Here's what I say goodbye is that right now the outcry about Ontario Place is coming. Okay, so this land is owned by it's Ontario's land, so it's the province's land, and Doug Ford is the premier of Ontario. His party had the majority for the second. So Toronto, because Toronto, where you are right now, there's very, very, very few pockets where the MPP in the 416 is actually from the PC party. So the overwhelming majority of Toronto, they went Liberal or typically vote in a Conservative government, except in this neighborhood you're in right now, which is another story I'll talk to you about later. But so therefore, I feel, just anecdotal kind of observation, is that Doug Ford likely to act because Toronto is mad. We're at mad when the election happens. So we really kind of need the rest of Ontario to get a sniff of this and to start to get angry. Well, taxpayer money would be going into this private spa and parking spa place. Like, we need people beyond Toronto. Hey, this stinks.
Exactly. I mean, I think with the attention that the Greenbelt issue has garnered, that Integrity Commissioner report and whatnot, and now there's being one, I guess.
There is
maybe it's sort of stacking up, and finally people go, maybe this in general. I don't know. It's some days I feel a kind of hopefulness, and other days I get a little.
We'll use that when you're writing this new album. I feel like a little like cynicness helps with songwriting. I feel that's a good thing for a songwriter. You're gonna write a song about this. You don't have to call it whatever you want, but maybe a line or two.
I'm going to be teaching some song writing
these days. Obviously, you're working on the album, but what else are you up to? And how was this experience for you?
Well, this year, actually, in doing this, I've just started to get turned on to some podcasts. And so, and I've listened to your podcast, Mike. So this is great. It's great to see you do your ads. That's really fun. And yeah, working on music and teaching a songwriting. Anyone wants to learn songwriting through U of T.
That's cool.
The of Toronto Continuing Education. That'll be in 2024.
Wouldn't it be funny if I take this class? Like Michelle back along here. So that's cool. I can come back and take a songwriting course.
There you go. That's it. Other than the way on the songs, and yeah,
And making lasagna.
yeah.
That's
How do I do that again?
I knew you were going to ask one more time, Michelle. I can't believe I have to do this. You know it's $3.75 for 45 minutes, okay? Write that down. I'll write it down for you. I'll send you an email.
Oh, thank you.
Let me mansplain this to you one more time. Okay, you got your beer, you got a smart speaker, you got your measuring tape. I just want to quickly shout out .ca because, Michelle, if you have any old electrode in the garbage, landfill, it's bad for everybody, okay?
True enough.
Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and find a place near you where you can really recycle it. Hey, you can't go wrong.
That's great. Do it.
And when the new album comes out, you come back here.
All
You
right.
understand? And I'll give you more lasagna.
I'd love that.
And I'll explain again how to make it.
Yeah.
$3.75, 45. Michelle McAdorey. Bob McAdorey, it was an absolute pleasure. I loved our crash, and we got to learn about your soul. Thank you for doing
Me
this.
too. Thank you for having me.
And that end of our 1,308th show. You can follow me. I'm on Twitter and Toronto Mike, and Michelle is at M McAdorey. That's right, M McAdorey.
Mm-hmm.
Takes on Ontario Place and more. You and I should chain ourselves to the tree.
Let's do it. Although, if that will impede my ability to go, I don't know.
Okay, it might. We could be there a while.
Yeah, well, especially if I get arrested.
Right. I was thinking ahead. That's why you're
That's
a
my
great
son.
visionary.
That's my son's voice.
Well, he's right. Listen to him. Thanks to all who made that's Great Lakes Brewery. That's Palma Pasta. That's Raymond James Canada. That's Moneris. That's Recycle My Electronics. And that's Ridley Funeral Home. See you all. You won't believe this, Michelle, but later today, another
Wow.
featuring Jason Priestley.
Jeez.
You missed it. But first, I got to pick up my youngest daughter. She wore a cast for a thing. And that will take. I might be standing up Jason Priestley because I'm stuck at St. Joe. Shout out to Tori Spelling. See you all soon.
Yeah, I wonder who realize there's 1,000 shades of gray. 'Cause I know that's true, yes I do. I know it's true, yeah. It's true. While they're picking up trash and they're putting down roads. And they're brokering stocks to close.